Hello everyone and welcome on into another LEGO custom video. Third week in a row, let's make it a month. Okay, so today we've got the lineup. These are my own custom versions of the characters. I will say now there are spoilers for both the current run of the show, so up to season 3, along with some minor spoilers for later on in the comics. So if you haven't caught up with the show, highly recommend it. You're not caught up with the comics, like, usual warning, watch at your own risk. Anyway, really excited for this lineup. I'll probably make more figures in the future, but they might not end up in a video unless I just do like a random figures video. But for now, this is up. So let's get on into it with our first figure. Okay, first figure up in this lineup is himself. So, pretty happy with this figure. It was hard to do a redesign of his costume without just making a different costume, so I tried my best to make it feel like the current costume is, but with my own twist on it, like I usually do. So if we bring the figure in closer, go over some details. So the legs are sculpted into this flight position. They are still posable to get different flight poses off with him. Just simple cutting up the legs, gluing and sculpting. But it just helps bring that extra bit of character to the figure. The hairpiece is from Hidden Side. I think that's what the line was called. I just painted it up, matched the goggles. I love this hairpiece. It works so well for characters like this who wear goggles, like Wally West, for example. I've got minifigure hands cut up for the shoulder pads, hollow stud gloves. I raised up the area where the pants meet the shirt, so it's sort of like a top to the bottom, and it just helps separate that figure a little bit. I cut up a Ninjago face piece, like face cover piece for that neck part. Just the generic face underneath. If we take off the hair, pop that up, we do have just a without the mask sort of worried look. And taking that part off, leaving that there. Bring in this other piece, and now we've got the goggles down version. So I just used a Robin, Lego Movie Robin hairpiece for that. Just get that down. There we go. So I carved out the goggles just a little bit, just to make them more to the correct shape instead of the really round that the Lego Movie Robin goggles are, but I think it works well to give him that goggles down look. But I do pretty much only display him with the goggles up look because I just like how that hairpiece flows and looks. But yeah, that's it for my Invincible minifigure, and let's move on to everyone's favorite, Nolan, aka Omn-Man. So I had a lot of fun with this figure, once again trying to redesign it while keeping it looking like the original. The cape is like a bootleg Doctor Strange cape. I just really liked the collar and how it flows. Had to cut up to make it fit with the sculpted chest area. I didn't sculpt full abs because I wanted him to sort of have like a bodybuilder sort of feel. I would have done the arms as well, but the cape didn't allow for it, sadly. I've just got the dog trainer hair in the black with some grey sideburns. The face itself is from an Angry Superman face. I just blacked in the pupils, added the mustache and some blood splatter. And yeah, the costume's relatively simple, but I think he pairs quite nicely with Invincible. And yeah, not much to say else on this figure. Pretty simple. Just happy to have some father-son bonding time happening. I did try to get some of the baseball mitt pieces in from the CMF a while ago, but I didn't want to pay the amount of money they wanted for a single hand, so I didn't worry about it. But yeah, I think they look great together, had a lot of fun with them. And now let's move on to Adam Eve. So when I got the Storm CMF, I knew I had to use that cape for Adam Eve. I just love how Storm's cape flows, and I just thought it worked really well for Adam Eve's design. The design itself, if I get the cape out of the way, bit of struggle. That hand is stuck in there. There we go. So getting that out of the way, free up the torso a little bit to talk about it. Did some sculpting in the chest, electrical tape for the miniskirt as well as the boot tops. I can't remember what base I used for the boots. It might have been She-Hulk, I believe. Just the standard, like, Black Widow swoopy hair and generic female face. I do have, like, a bloodied up after the fight sort of face as well. For accessories, I've just got these random pink energy pieces. But yeah, I think she looks quite well recognizable. The symbol was hard to paint, so I just did what the animators do when they want to be lazy and just put an X over the male symbol. So yeah, pretty simple figure, but it gets across Adam Eve as a design. And now let's move on to my favorite character, which is Rex Splode. I know a lot of people didn't like him in the start, but I've liked him from the start. I just like asshole characters like Kevin 11, characters like that. So I just thought he was a lot of fun. Also helps that he's heavily inspired by my favorite X-Men, Gambit. Gambit stan, and this guy perfectly encapsulates his fighting style. I just love people that blow things up. Coming in for the design, I've got a Star Wars Rebel Trooper helmet, sanded it down a little bit, painted it up in that red, so then it had that clear visor. Just a standard scarf piece, I believe it was introduced for Wild Style. I've got a custom belt with some chambers for his explosive discs, as well as some pouches down the side that also contain just random chain and shrapnel. Electrical tape for the sleeves, and the knee pads are just carved out hands. I've got one of those energy, push fire blast effects for him. I'm very happy with how this figure turned out. This is phase 2 of the figure. I did originally have a design for him, just didn't execute what I wanted for the character, but I think when I came around to doing it a second time, I nailed it for me myself. With the show, I'm a little bit disappointed with how they did his funeral. It just felt rushed, and I hated that they used the entire budget on the Conquest fight. I didn't give a scrap for my boy Rex Splode. Anyway, enough rambling about Rex Splode. Let's get on in to the next lot of figures, which is the Guardians of the Globe, not Justice League. So Green Ghost, I just grabbed a translucent green minifigure just before recording because I saw it in my minifigure bin. Perfect Green Ghost. Obviously the main focuses here are the Immortal and Red Rush. So if we just start off with the Immortal first. So he's a man everyone loves to hate, and I hated painting his design. Yellow is the bane of my existence, and it should be a much easier color to paint, and I wish that a higher power would make it an easier color to paint. Anyway, coming into the figure itself, I've sculpted out the chest, fully defined his muscles and stuff. I wanted him to look more built than Omn-Man, just so it feels more embarrassing when Omn-Man completely cuts him in half. Yeah, just like tried to match that pattern throughout his whole suit with the eye iconography and stuff. The hollow stud for the wrists again. The face, I believe, was a serious black face, and the hair is just like the common Widow's Peak Peter Venkman hair. And he is a lot of fun to pose up with Omn-Man. I just get him over here. One second. Oh, dropping stuff. Here's a lot of fun to pose up with Omn-Man. Having him rip him in half. Just got a little base plate, knocking the camera around. Yeah, it's just fun having a little, just a nice family-friendly display. But no, in all seriousness, I was going to make a blood effect piece that like sprayed out from the legs, so I could have just Omn-Man brutalizing the Immortal. But enough about those two. Let's get on into my favorite member of the Guardians of the Globe, and a man who I wish didn't die, the GOAT Red Rush. So this figure is very simple. I didn't do a lot with it. It is just the Ezra Miller Flash torso spun around, same legs. I just painted up some different red details into there to match the arms. Gave him some boots. The helmet is the same type that I used for Rex. The head underneath is just the Ezra Miller head. When you're creating a Flash clone, might as well use Flash pieces. But the accessory for Red Rush, which was a lot of fun to paint, was his death face. So this is obviously from when Omn-Man pops his head, and yeah, I had a lot of fun painting up this. It was very gruesome. I think it turned out quite well. Bit of dust on there. I think I just used, it was like a random character from a Jurassic Park set. I just cut up I got rid of a bunch of details. I kept in the mouth, just extended it a bit, and yeah, just like bloodied out the eye, had one bit fallen, just added a bunch of just details. I sort of based the screaming and the wrinkle effects and stuff like that off of a Junji Ito comic. I just wanted to make it as visceral as possible, just to really demonstrate the brutality of the first kill. I'm really happy with how these guys turned out. Oh, dropped a piece. Really happy with how my Guardians turned out. I might make more in the future, but like Darkwing, I don't really care too much about the original Guardians, because 5 minutes of screen time and then one of the coolest slaughters in animated history. But I'm yapping too much about the Guardians, and they can have as much screen time on my video as they did in the entire show. So let's move over to someone who actually deserves some screen time, which is the Mauler Twins. Now, I know what you're going to say, and I hear it every time I show these people figures. These figures, 2 people. I know that they're purple. I know that they're supposed to be blue. I didn't have blue. I liked purple. So now they're purple. It is my version, and I wanted purple. So, that out of the way, let's get on to the design. I tried to make them both unique in appearance, just so I wasn't copy-paste figure. I know that they're clones and that's the whole idea, but the figures itself, relatively... I've lost my train of thought. Let me start over. Didn't want to make the suits identical. I know that they're clones and that's their whole thing, but a little bit of uniqueness helps when they're standing side by side. So I tried to make one in sort of the, like, their action outfit, like committing crime outfit, and one in sort of like science outfit with some goggles and a trench coat. These two were a lot of fun to design. They're just the generic M thing. I love how they went for, like, with all their costumes, they're like, for some of the characters they've got the first initial as their costume, like the Mauler Twins have the big M, Invincible and Immortal suit are both an I, Omni-Man's got a giant O. It's just a lot of fun. Anyway, yeah, these two turned out well. I just used some bootleg Thanos pieces I got from AliExpress. They're a ton of fun to use. Like, the bodies are a ton of fun to use. They were based off of the Mr. Incredibles game, from the Incredibles game. The trench coat, just paper, electrical tape for the sleeves, Lego Batman movie belt, just cut up because they don't fit properly on these torsos unless you remove that back lot of pouches. But yeah, quite happy with how these guys turned out, and we've got 4 more figures left, and I think we'll do those in groups of 2. Okay, so here we have 2 of the multiversal variants of Invincible himself. These are my 2 favorite variants. I do have Mask Vincible coming, but I didn't finish him in time for this video, and I didn't want to be late again. So we just get the 2 for now, and I'll post a group shot with all 3 of them on Instagram eventually. But for now, let's talk about these 2. I'll get the simpler one out of the way first. We've got Mohawk Mark or Mo Vincible Hawk. I hate the names that Amazon gave to them. But yeah, he's a relatively simple figure. I used a bootleg Warhammer head for the face. I just really liked the look of the eyes. The Mr. T afro piece, I painted on a little goatee, added in like a sneering grin. Painted some muscle details on the legs. Wanted to keep the design. I didn't like how, I wanted to make the design feel more different from just standard blue suit Mark. So I did change it up a little bit from how it was in the show. I know it wasn't identical in the show or the comic, but I just feel like this is nice. I think something that I might do in the future is give him blue hands and gloves, just so he's got the blue shoes, blue gloves. I think that might tie the figure together a bit, but not 100% sure on that yet, because then it's getting close to just being blue suit Mark. Anyway, I'm happy with how he turned out, and let's bring in my favorite Invincible variant, which is Sinister Mark, aka Cape Vincible, aka the Cannibal Mark. So this is based off of him as after the whole cannibal situation. So I have him with a bunch of electrical tape ripping in the fabric. If I lift up his cape, so I just like ripped up all his sleeves and everything like that. Just wanted to make him look down there on the legs as well. Just electrical tape. Adding in a lot of paint, scraping it away so it looked like raised material on the leg. Just wanted to add in as much rippage to the suit as possible, just to give it that extra bit of like wear and tear. I got a cape and I just went at it with a pair of scissors. Added a lot of blood, because obviously there's a lot of blood when you eat people against their will. The hair is just the Lloyd hair from the Lego movie in a black. Tried to just make it look as messy as possible. The head itself, I've got electrical tape wrapped around to be like the base of the mask. I've got one lens attached, the other one's been ripped off. He's got the scraggly beard, blood everywhere. Just a ton of fun, bunch of scratches. And yeah, he was just a ton of fun to make. I like making gored up figures. And yeah, I think the Invincible variants pair quite nicely with each other. It will look good when I get Mask Vincible in here. But that's enough talking about Invincible. Let's talk about Invincible. Okay, so here is my last Invincible figure of the lot. I wanted to do something special for the finale of the show, so I've got a nice statue figure of Mark versus Conquest. Just a generic base plate. Just wanted to have something fun where they could both be chasing each other down, flying around. So if I just get these guys off of here real quick to just show off the base itself. Just some generic rock splatter. I've got like a Superman newspaper in there, so I thought it was funny. Some stones, got some guardrail just from like the side of the road. Yeah, not much, but it does the trick to hold up the figures. Speaking of which, we start off with battle damaged blue suit Mark. This figure was a ton of fun to make. This is a second version. The first version I did electrical tape for the sleeve, but the second version I came in and actually sculpted it up so it looked a bit nicer. And changed out the hairpiece and the head, painted a whole new face for him. So the head is a Peter Parker head. Just painted up the mask, added all the ripping in, the blood, the bruised eye, bootleg Itadori hairpiece in black, just so it looked as like windswept as possible. Sculpting on the torso, I added in some like little lines and stuff like that, just to get a little bit of texture into the suit itself. The design for the blue suit is relatively simple. Bring him back so you can see. The design is relatively simple. I used Sinestro's legs, I'm pretty sure, for the legs. He's got a hollow stud glove. Sleeve is sculpted, as I said, and yeah, just sculpted in the thing. The neck piece is different from the yellow suit one because I just wanted a little bit of distinction between the two masks. So that is using a breathing apparatus neck attachment with the apparatus part cut off. Just gives a different layer to how the suit sets, just so it feels a bit more different. Obviously this suit doesn't have that breakaway that the yellow suit does with the electrical tape. I wanted it to just be one full suit, just to make it a bit more streamlined, show off his build like it's supposed to do on the show. Yeah, not much else to say. Bunch of blood, because it's Invincible, you've got to have a bunch of blood. And yeah, let's move on to his opponent, the loneliest man in the Viltrum Empire, Conquest. Absolutely love Jeffrey D. Morgan's performance. I love all of Morgan's performances. He just does a great job being such a charismatic asshole who just loves beating people. I am happy to have the Glenn versus Negan rematch. And yeah, I wonder how Negan felt to have his face bashed in for a bit of revenge. Anyway, moving on into the face, we've got the balding piece that's used for Alfred a lot. I think I got mine from a CMF series, but it's often used for Alfred. The face print itself, I believe, is Grindelwald's. I think that's how you say his name. I don't know, the bad guy from Fantastic Mr. Beast. Changed up the eye and added in some blood, added in his scar, gave him his big puffy white eyebrows. Just tried to change it up enough so it looked a bit more like Conquest. The body itself is one of those buff Mr. Incredible bootleg things from AliExpress, same as the Mauler Twins, which just help him get that little bit of extra height and build on Invincible. So I also extended the legs on him. I just wanted to make him look like an absolute unit, so he dwarfs over both Mark and Nolan. So I'm really happy with how the heights turned out. Let me just get those out of there. For his suit, I didn't want to just go with run-of-the-mill, exactly like how it was in the comics and the show. I just like to make my figs feel a bit more different, so I added like bandaged up hands, so sort of like boxing wrap. Big gauntlet, it's just a infinity gauntlet with the infinity stones removed. Added in some black details and some raised details. Some hands for some little shoulder pads. Moving down to the belt, this was a Warhammer belt that I painted up. I thought it looked very similar to his belt. We got some fabric here that I've just glued to look a bit more windswept. Some leg attachments, just for like extra support in his legs. The legs are still posable. And yeah, it's just the standard extended legs. Very happy with how both of these guys turned out, and I think they look quite well together, and hopefully it makes Conquest feel a little bit less lonely. Anyway, let's move on to my final thoughts and wrap up this video. So that about does it for my Invincible custom lineup. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I know it's a bit of a long one, but we had a lot of figures to cover, and yeah, I just hope you guys enjoyed the ride. As I usually say, better quality pictures will be posted to my Instagram eventually. If you want to go check out that, there'll be links in the description below. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and yeah, I'll catch you guys until the next one. Let's try and make it a 1 month streak. I'm not quite sure what my next video will be. Might try to make it a updated DC figures, because my old ones on this channel are from like 6 lore dumps ago, so my figures have changed quite a bit since then, along with my Justice League and some of the Batman rogues, so we might make that the next video. So if you want to see that, make sure to like and subscribe so you get updates on when next videos are out. But I will try to make them every like end of the week sort of day. Yeah, so hopefully see you guys in the next one. Enjoy. Bye.